Good morning, rise and shine. It is that time of day. It's Monday, Easter Monday for pretty much everybody. So I'm just going to go ahead and get my quarantine network on my phone. Guys, we are at 10.7 thousand people. That's awesome. 10,700 people have joined the quarantine network. That's amazing. And only one of us is active on the quarantine network at this moment because it's Easter Monday and everyone's sleeping. Of course, only me would be that weirdo that's live and awake online right now. But that's okay because that's what I do. And I hold space for you for when you're ready. Oh, okay, there's two other people here. Anywho, this is, my frame is off today. That's okay. It is Rise and Shine with your girl, Cassandra Renee, with Wild Blossom Beacon Coaching. And it is Manifest Monday, or if you choose, Me on Monday. But hey, why not both? Something that kings and queens do is we take a stand for the and, right? We don't say, well, I can have this or this. No. How about both? We find solutions. We're solution finders. We figure it out. So as you guys have been following me for a while, good morning, Bo. Good morning, Christina. Those of you who've been following me for a while have noticed that I pretty much just kind of go off the cuff. I riff. I have a very loose structure, a couple of points that I would like to touch on, and then I just go from there. So while I am pretty much walking you guys through my 90-day course, I am also I don't have an agenda of like, I would like to touch on this subject by this day, da, da, da. And so it's very apropos that yesterday having been Easter Sunday, today being Easter Monday, that we get to forgiveness in where I'm headed with this network. So yes, happy Monday to you too. So let's just dive right into it. Now, for those of you who are just tuning in, my name is Cassandra Renee. And first I want to thank everybody who showed up for the free coaching, the free open coaching that I did on Friday. It was awesome. We had some really cool breakthroughs. And oh my goodness, guys, your feedback is constantly blowing my mind. I'm almost daily, you guys are sending me messages, pictures, little inspirational things that you got from something that I said. And I mean, I live for your breakthroughs. The whole reason I became a coach was because I've been having so many breakthroughs. And when I finally fell in love with myself, I realized, oh my gosh, this is what this feels like. Everybody needs to feel like this. Like, how can I facilitate that? How can I expedite the process so that other people don't have to go as long as I did? And heck, let's even like 10x that. How can I make it so that they don't have to go through the whole, like, the wandering of being like, I don't even know how to go. I didn't even know that I didn't love myself. Like, how can I cut through all that? So that's the whole reason I felt like pretty much literally fell into doing what I do. And every time I get to help somebody find their truth or ask a deeper question to get to the right answer that's right for them, there's no universal right answer for you. That's right for me, that's right for you. But every time I get to help somebody get closer to their truth and have these little breakthroughs and find something that works for them, man, that just fuels me like no coffee or tea can possibly do. And that's why I do this. I mean, the money's good too. Don't get me wrong. So feel free to donate. It's in the comments. Speaking of, I do offer coaching packages. But I had a free coaching, an open coaching on Friday, and it was wonderful. We had some people on there and they got some breakthroughs, and that was great. And if you would like to, because it was so good, I've decided that I'm going to host another one. I haven't figured out time frame yet, so I'll get that to you probably by later today. But stay tuned. We will have another open coaching. And if you want to get more open coaching, guys, I offer free clarity calls. It's about half an hour if you haven't had one with me. And it's straight up free coaching, basically, with the two of us, one-on-one, with a virtual call, and we go through, okay, well, what is your question? What is the thing that you're working through on, and what's going on? And to help with that, come this Wednesday, I'm actually going to, in the midday mindset, I'm going to have a guest join me, who's got some questions for me. So you can kind of get an idea. Now you're seeing me talk and interact with you guys, but this way you can, well, you're not really getting to see me interact per se, but come Wednesday, we'll have a bit new adjustment on the format so you can actually see what it's like to actually get coaching by me and how that dynamic works. So I'm really excited to bring that to you on Wednesday. So but if you want your own one-on-one session, reach out, DM me. It's totally free, and I promise you'll have at least one breakthrough. That's my goal every time I interact with somebody, is to give you an actionable tool with homework that you can take and go right from there to immediately start getting clarity, getting improvement on an action towards your goals. So we're moving into talking about forgiveness. So I've got a bunch of quotes that I really, really enjoy that kind of set the mood for forgiveness. And I like to front load things, but I think moving forward, the way I'm going to handle this segment, I'm actually going to just start with a couple and then proceed, because it's this particular section, we've dove pretty deep the past 3 weeks with the other 3 sections, but this section it's pretty simplistic in nature, but it actually can be very complicated and very deep in practice. So I like to make sure, like a fine wine, I want to make sure that it has its breathing room. So starting off, forgiveness is not the same as justice, nor does it require reconciliation. Oh my goodness, you guys. When I first read that quote, it was like the entire world just shifted, right? Because when traditionally we go about forgiving somebody or something, water under the bridge, don't worry about it, it's done, it's over with, and we go on as though, okay, same as normal, happy. And yet the sting of whatever it was that we're working towards forgiving, we might say that we forgive, but we actually haven't forgiven. And it was almost like, when I read that, it was almost like a weight had been lifted. Like, wait a second. At the same time the weight had been lifted, confusion set in. Like, how can I possibly forgive somebody but not have it be reconciled? What do you mean? And Easter is a pretty good example of that. How not to get too steeped in religion, but to have somebody suffer something so greatly and to still be like, forgive them, they know not what they do. To, have somebody wrong you and to say, you know what, I forgive you. It doesn't take away the pain right away. It doesn't. Over time it will. It doesn't undo the wrong that was done to you. It doesn't mean that you're not still due reparations, right? Like the guy that hit me, and I now have brain damage from the car accident. Like, it doesn't take away my brain damage. Yeah, the money to repair my car, the money that, is coming. Hi, Terrain. Thank you for being here. I mean, yeah, that's great. It doesn't fix the car. Can be fixed. My brain, maybe, we'll see. But I don't have to. It alleviates me of the guilt and the burden, because there is a certain degree of guilt that you're holding on to when you're angry and you're holding resentment towards another person or situation. And so I can forgive that person because they didn't They didn't know that this was going to happen. They didn't intend for it to happen. And let's be honest, if it were the other way around, if I looked down for just a split second and I caused that damage, this guy doesn't even know the damage that he's actually done. He saw what he did to the car. He doesn't know what he's done here. He doesn't know what I've gone through. And I would like to think, I believe that most people are good. And I would like to think that if he did know, who knows? Maybe he's still beating himself up over it every day and it's awful. That's on him. But I would like to think that if I were in his shoes, like, yeah, I wouldn't intend to cause the accident. I wouldn't intend, and I would feel remorse. And maybe I wouldn't think about it every single day, but every time it would pop into my head, I'd feel bad. And I would want that other person to know, like, I never intended for this to happen. I hope you can forgive me because I feel so guilty. And so forgiveness is a very unique thing. It's an esoteric thing, really, because it's not a concrete thing. It's not like this mug that we can hold intangible. And yet it holds so much power over the way we feel. If we can let something go, if we can release it. And that brings me to the next quote. Forgiveness is not always easy. At times, it feels more painful than the wound we suffered to forgive the one that inflicted it. And yet, there is no peace without forgiveness. So, forgiveness is that calm emotion where you're no longer emotionally triggered by it. Like, I can watch a movie or a TV show and see a car accident happen and not like cringe and have flashbacks. I'm still getting to the point where I can watch a mother-daughter connection in a movie or TV show and not be triggered for something that I don't have. I'm still working on that, and it's a process. And I've been working on forgiving my mother for going on 17 years. So but there are levels, and the more you work on it, the more you focus on it, the more at peace you can become. And that's really what it's all about is, you've probably heard the old adage, harboring resentment and anger, jealousy, any of those not great feelings towards somebody or something else is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die, right? Especially if the other person is completely oblivious to your suffering, to your pain. Now remember, suffering is a choice. Suffering is where you're prolonging it and you get triggered and then you choose to belabor and think and envelop and re-experience those feelings. Whereas the pain is the trigger. You get triggered, there's the pain, but then you can condition yourself to go through other ways of releasing it. And forgiveness is one of those ways. So forgiveness allows us the ability to no longer suffer, to release those emotions. So without having forgiveness, we are voluntarily continuing to ingest poison, not doing anybody any bit of good. So I say we find ways to deal with it, right? To get rid of it. So for those of you who are tuning in, first off, hello, good morning, rise and shine. Type in, let me know who's here and where you're tuning in from. And I'd like to know what comes up for you when I'm talking about forgiveness. If it's a situation, a loved one, could be something silly like I gave a talk last week about a toilet seat. It could be something deep, traumatic, like a car accident, like I talked about. Could be like a deep-seated issue, like my ongoing, dare I say, struggles, my ongoing tumultuous relationship with my mother, who just cannot seem to get it. It's okay. I forgive her. And this is how I've come to terms. And when I go into each segment, there's 5 levels. I categorize 5 levels of forgiveness, and I'll introduce them, and then we'll go into the first one today. And I'll just briefly say that I'm able to forgive my mother, even though we're not at a place of reconciliation. And honestly, I don't think that we ever will be, because it's like that other saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. You can tell somebody how you feel, but unless they can have full compassion and empathy and really understand where you're coming from, they cannot possibly feel how you feel. And they can have an attempt at compassion and attempt to say, so for example, I reached out and attempted to give my mom the Cliff Notes version of why I had to cut her out of my life. And her response was, and this was this weekend, by the way, her response was, oh, that must have taken a lot of courage. Proud of you. Yep, that you are that reason. You take zero ownership, and this is where I had mentioned last week where each party has to take 100% each of a situation. Even, and you have to own what your percentage is. Even if your percentage is only a smaller percentage of that 200%. So you're 100% of a person, and you have to look at the situation and say, how much of that situation did I have an involvement in? We'll get there. Anyway, I'm still able to forgive her because she either doesn't have the capacity to understand, or she doesn't desire to, or she, which is the most likely thing, she doesn't have the ability to understand because she chooses not to. She has closed those doors. She has put up those walls, and she has said, oh, well, learning experience, that's done. Next, let's carry on from here. And she's built that fortress that she can't even go back there. She can if she was open and willing to try. Like you guys who are here, who have an open and willingness to try and explore. She's, set in her ways. No one is ever set in their ways unless they choose to be, just like you're choosing to suffer or not. Martyr syndrome, plain and simple. So, anywho, so there's 5 different levels of forgiveness. And the great thing, keep in mind with all of them, again, the reason you're forgiving is to alleviate yourself, is to expunge and extract all of that poison that you've been taking by keeping it in, to get rid of all that suffering that you've been holding on to. That is why you forgive. So for selfish reasons. The other reason that you forgive is to build up your compassion and understanding, because the more of an open heart you have, if something's open, then you can receive. So if you're not currently receiving the love and the kindness and the money and all the other things that you desire, where are you closed off in your life? Where are you shutting other people down or out? Where are you not allowing yourself to receive in other areas? And so if you can get yourself to forgive and get rid of, remember how I talked about decluttering? If you want more money to come in, if you desire more money, well, declutter your wallet, get rid of all the receipts, make space for it, right? So it's all the same concept. Energetically speaking, if you would like more love to flow into your life, if you would like more happiness, more joy, you got to make space. You got to get rid of all the sadness and the anger and the pain and the hurt and the regret. And you've got to just get rid of that so you can make room. So when you're making room for that, when you have the joy, the love, the happiness, the compassion, you can give, because you can't give what you don't have. So when you have that, you can give to other people, right? Filling your cup up to overflow, not just enough for you to get and then deplete it down and then refill it, but to fill it up to overflow and then pour from that. So you're forgiving to alleviate yourself of the feelings that are not so awesome. And you're forgiving to be able to give Forgive. Does that make sense? Forgive. So there's 2 reasons that you forgive. Okay. So again, keep in mind, in forgiving, you do not have to reconcile the issue. You don't have to place blame. You don't have to rehash the issue. You're wrong. I was right. I was the victim. Da, da, da. Just has to say, I just want to be done feeling like this. I don't want to feel this pain anymore. I don't want to, I'm tired of holding in, like every time I see you, I want to cry. I'm tired of every time I see this situation and I don't have it because of something that happened in my past, wanting to cry or feel bad or feel angry because it was taken away from me. Like all these things kind of come into the surface. That's why you forgive. And I promise when we start working through these, you will get to the point. That's why we're going to start with the easier ones and work our way up. I promise that you will get yourself to a point where you can
away from me. Like
actually,
these things kind of come to the surface.
Sorry, I'm trying to get this so I can see your comments because I see you did leave comments. And I just want to make sure that I am not missing anything. And here we go. Sorry, guys.
I promise that you will get yourself to a point.
Here we go. Got it. Cool. Sorry about that. So I promise that you will get yourself to a point where you can actually just instantaneously access forgiveness, where somebody can do something and you can literally not just like be like Zen surface and be done with it, but like literally, bless me. But you can literally just be like, done. And just like that, have it not affect you. Everything's hunky-dory. So to help you with this, moving forward, I'd like to give you a few affirmations. So if you have your journals out, go ahead and you can repeat these out loud. You're also welcome to write these down. And if I go through these too quickly, you can always go back to the video and write them down again. You can also message me if you would like me to send them to you. I can just type them up real quick. But these are not comprehensive, and you're super welcome to go ahead and come up with your own. Like these are just a starter list. Hey, Nicole, girl, thanks for being here. So some affirmations to help you with cultivating forgiveness. And I found these very effective. With my affirmations, I have them on flashcards and like index cards, and I've just mechanically gone through them every single morning as part of my morning routine. Yes, I do a lot of things in my morning routine. So again, this is not comprehensive. Add to this as you will, but these are geared to get you to a right frame of mind, to get you started thinking along the lines, to get you tuned in, like how the radio works, right? If you want to get listening to a particular rock station or a particular country station, you have to tune in to that right frequency. Otherwise, it's going to be garbled, or you're going to listen to rock when you meant country or something else, right? Like you have to tune into the right radio station. So these are programmed to help you. I am understanding. I am forgiving. When I forgive, it is final. I breathe in peace and breathe out the past. I'm going to say that one again because that one's mega. I breathe in peace and breathe out the past. The past does not determine my future. I am compassionate. I forgive wholly and completely. I let go of whatever no longer serves me. I have literally had I let go of whatever no longer serves me on Post-it notes, on cell phone backgrounds, on whiteboards, all over my entire apartment. Like all over. That one is a game changer, my friends. Massive game changer. So, ready for the first category? Break out your journals. We are going to start thinking about people whom you love. Nice and easy. So, in this exercise, you're going to write down just the names. If it helps you, you can write down a little situation or whatnot. And this exercise is especially, well, all of this is very useful, especially in quarantine. But for those of you quarantined with family, people maybe living in close quarters, getting a little on your nerves, very useful. So we're going to focus on having forgiveness for those whom you love. Love, 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 love. So, and not like obligatory love, like my sister's dad, at one point he was my stepdad. He's not my stepdad. We'll message each other on holidays, say I love you. Do I feel love? No. Do I care about the person? Yeah, but do I, like, no. I'm talking like someone you genuinely love, spouse, sibling, parent, grandparent, best friend, like someone who you care deeply about. And they pissed you off. Or they did something that really irked you. Now, we're not talking about like deep betrayal here. We're not talking like some Game of Thrones stuff. We'll save that for later. I have categories for that. I'm just talking about like, just, I don't know, if you guys want to type in, give me an example. The toilet seat example that I gave the other day, that's a good one. Could be, burned dinner because somebody wasn't paying attention or asked you one too many questions and you had to look away and then dinner got burned. Or it could be they broke something of yours. Or they stole something of yours. Or you could have stolen something from them. Now, don't worry about if it is something that comes up for you that you did to them that you're seeking forgiveness on. Don't worry, I have a category for that. We will get to that. But go ahead and just brainstorm, just brain dump on situations, circumstances that have come up that could have been a long, long, long time ago that for whatever reason just popped up now. Weird, thought I was done with that. Or something that's been kind of happening or has happened recently, or you can tell is kind of simmering right now, like, get me out of quarantine soon. I don't know how much longer I can take this situation. And really, guys, please type in the comments, like right now, what some of these situations are so I can help you and run with it, because it's so much easier to have actual examples. I live alone. The best I've got right now is when one of my animals decides to lick their butt on one of my pillows. That's the best I've got in my recent examples. All right, Richie's got one. Let's see. Yep, that's a good one. Like your best friend didn't tell you Easter dinner was about to happen and you go around the block on the Harley and they didn't say, wait, it's almost dinner, and don't tell you they ate it all like that yesterday. That's a great one. Thank you for sharing, Richie. So, and if you guys still have like situations, stuff like that, absolutely write them down. Keep going, keep going. Gonna roll with this one. Thank you so much for sharing, Richie. So, these affirmations, very, very, very useful. So I have a couple of different ways. It's kind of the same technique for every type of forgiveness. Some you can get extra playful with as you go. But let's go ahead and take it like that. So first, you want to acknowledge the situation, right? Now, it doesn't do anyone any bit of good to full on dive straight in and just get angry and hurt and pissed off again. But your feelings are valid and you matter. That being said, it's important to not discount your feelings. It's important to acknowledge them and be aware that these feelings came up and how they made you feel, right? So if you're willing to interact with me, this would be great, Richie. How did that make you feel when you found out? And keep in mind, guys, in this exercise, the same person may show up multiple times for various things. I mean, the saying, we tend to hurt the ones we love the most, happens. Shouldn't happen. And this is how, as we go through this program, as we go through this process, we'll be able to nip that in the bud. So Richie, how did that make you feel when you found that out? Because it's a bummer. It sucks. While he's typing in, did you guys all have a good Easter? How was Easter in quarantine? Did you guys? I know one of my best friends. It was his birthday yesterday, and so we had we did a Zoom video chat where people were celebrating his birthday, and I took a video of it and a little screenshot. It was cute, and then I ended up having a movie date with a friend where we watched. Oh yes, no, definitely put it in your journal. Please do. I love that you're doing that. Oh my gosh, that makes me feel so good. Yes, I was actually asking you though, Richie. Definitely work on the journal, but if you wouldn't mind, it'd be great. Had a movie date where I was FaceTiming or I was video chatting here, watching a movie with a friend that way. That was pretty cool. So that's how I spent my Sunday. So I hope you guys all had a good holiday, regardless of your faith and what you celebrate. However you spent your Sunday, I hope you made it awesome. I made really delicious pasta and garlic bread. Oh, you don't want to. I'm guessing what you're saying is you're going to put in the journal. You don't want to share that. That's totally cool. I totally respect that. moving on. All good. So step one is to acknowledge the situation, acknowledge your feelings. And now that you've had some time, and sometimes you're too close to the flame, right? Sometimes you have to let things cool down before you can look at it with a level head. And if the situation is too recent and you can't quite look at it level-headed just yet, this is where turning it kind of cartoony can be very useful. Where you start to get imaginative and you start to be a little goofy with it and turn it into your favorite sitcom or cartoon, and think of something really ridiculous. Like, think of Mickey Mouse, okay? For as much as I have issues with Disney, we'll go with Mickey. Because Mickey always had good intentions, right? He always meant to show up for Minnie and to take her on a nice date or to do the right thing, but then something would always happen. You know, the little whirling dervish would come and destroy the yard, or Pluto would take off and drag him through the dirt, or something would always happen, and it just wouldn't go as planned for him. Poor dude. So sometimes it's almost fun to create a comical situation to, like, what are all the wacky, zany things that could have happened that could have led up to this not happening or happening the way it did. But this is why we're starting with easier things, because that's definitely useful when it comes to a little bit more difficult things. So step one, acknowledging the situation, acknowledging your feelings. Then step two, where I'm leading into, is acknowledging their side of things. So this is where, and you have to be careful with this is where you have to start to know yourself. You have to give yourself boundaries when you're doing this, because for many of us, I'm one of them. Some of us are very good at justifying things and convincing ourselves that things are one way because of something, and we put our rose-colored glasses on and we see those red flags and just think they're pretty things to decorate our rooms with. So you have to give yourself guidelines. This is not a justification. This is just a situation. This is where you're cultivating compassion. You're attempting to see things from their point of view. So in your example, Richie, I'm massive about communication. So if I were you, yeah, I would be very hurt that they, A, didn't tell me that dinner was even being a thing, B, that it was a thing and I didn't get an invitation, and C, I didn't find out until it was all over. Like, yeah, and it hurts when you actually, like, drive by and see it. Like, that's like almost the worst sting, instead of just hearing about it after. So there's like a couple of points on that. But maybe, hey, Melinda, good morning. Thanks for being here. Maybe it's kind of like playing devil's advocate, right? Maybe it's quarantine and they wanted their best friend to be with them on the holiday, and knowing that it's quarantine and they're not supposed to, or they can't, or however they're handling the situation, maybe they spent hours and days going around and round and round in circles about, well, we really want to invite him, but we shouldn't. What do we do? What do we not do? Should we say something? Should we not say something? And what do we do? And finally just decided on, maybe if we act like it doesn't happen, like the crime of outshining, right? Maybe if we just pretend like this never happened, douse our light so he doesn't know, he'll never find out. And if he doesn't find out, then he can't get hurt. Okay. I had a feeling. So Richie says, we all live here and we're all hanging outside together like a compound. So you're able to quarantine with like social distancing. So again, these are just, you're playing devil's advocate here, right? So you're not necessarily trying to find something that makes sense to you, but you're trying to just find reasons that could possibly make sense to them, because no one is ever going to be you. There is nobody else in this world that is made up with the same genetic compound as you, with the same cellular structure, with the same brain structure, with everything the same. So given, when people say, well, if I were you, I would have, no, you wouldn't. Never, ever, 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 ever would you. Because if you were me, you would have done exactly what I did, because that is me. See what I'm saying? Because given all of my past experience, given all of my things that I've learned, you can know everything about somebody, but not know everything about somebody. No. This is where cultivating compassion comes in, right? So you're just figuring out, like, okay, where could they possibly, and it doesn't have to be the logical. Remember, in forgiveness, you don't have to reconcile. It doesn't. That's the beautiful thing about forgiving, is it doesn't require a reconciliation. It just requires you to find peace. So coming up with reasons that they could possibly have, that being in their shoes could be a validation for their actions. So again, for those of you watching, for forgiving someone you love, the first step is acknowledging the situation, validating your feelings, acknowledging your feelings, allowing yourself to actually feel it. Because often we feel sad and we feel sad and we don't allow ourselves to feel sad. So we instantly, well, anger is more acceptable, so I'm going to feel angry. But really, the proper feeling is actually sadness. Your feelings were hurt, but instead we project and we get angry. So you really want to, that's, I should have clarified that, and I apologize. In step one is really get clear on, was it really anger or was it hurt? Was it sad? Could have been a combination of the two, could have been a lot of other things, but really, really hone in on what exactly those feelings were. And then taking a look at what the other person, what could have been their reasoning. And I do want to apologize. There is another part to the side on your side, is going back to that Snickers theory, right? Are you just being a jerk because you're hungry? Is that the only reason? Like, are you really mad at the situation, or is there something else? Oh, you're not mad about the situation. You're just triggered by the situation because you're actually hungry. So does this lack of inclusion trigger something deeper? Were you picked last as a kid for dodgeball? Did you always feel like you had to prove something? Did you always feel like an outsider trying to fit in? So you're working back deeper. And this goes back to that beliefs section where we did that exercise on finding that limiting belief, getting these little epiphanies, tying them down to that anchor, right? Does this have a deeper meaning for me? Because maybe that issue that you have with them isn't an issue with them at all. Maybe that issue is something, it's a mirror presented for you to go back and heal those deeper wounds. Everything that comes up in life that seems to be a trigger is just that. It's a mirror for something deeper. So to do the deeper work, we got to just kind of get there. Levels. We'll get there. So looking at the situation at hand, acknowledge the situation, feel the feelings, understand those true feelings. Like, was it really this or was it this? And if you can continue to just go deeper in that, my friend, go deeper in that, journal, write it out. How are you feeling? Where did those feelings come from? You might be surprised the gold you just dug up. So that's a big, big step one. Step two is coming up with cultivating compassion, finding out, well, what could have been their reasoning behind this? And it doesn't have to be logical. It doesn't have to be true. And it doesn't even have to be right. It just has to be something that you can say, I can see how they might think that. I can disagree with it, but I can see how they might think that. So, let's see. Didn't tell you Easter was about to happen. You go on the bug early. Didn't say wait. It's almost dinner. Don't tell you ate. So maybe they know that you're dealing with some stuff and they know that you love going out on your Harley. And maybe they know that you and Harley time is sacred time. And they want to be respectful of that and don't want to stand in the way. And so they don't say anything. And, he's a grown man. He's a grown adult. He can do whatever he wants. And maybe they think that you saw or smelled things about to happen. Or maybe they thought they told you, it's always those, or maybe. And again, it doesn't have to be right. And this is where those boundaries come in. Don't let those or maybes become truth. Because they're not going to become truth unless you actually talk with them, investigate it, and find out for real. So the next step to forgiveness is, the cool thing about this, guys, is you don't actually have to have those conversations. Now, if you value the relationship and you want to make sure that it doesn't happen again, which if you value the relationship, that would be the case, then yes, you do have to have these conversations. But forgiveness does not require reconciliation. You are going to need, because I'm a major advocate of communication, we are going to get there. That's the fourth step. But step number 3 is this exercise. So now you've come to terms with your feelings about it. Now you've given a scenario with all of your but maybes, and you've come to one that you could actually say, you know what, if I were in that position, I would want to be forgiven. So maybe my best friend didn't invite me to dinner because she saw that I was going out on my hike. She knows all the crap that I've been going with, and she knows that when I go hiking, I can clear my head and I feel better. And she didn't want to bother me. I respect that. That was her way giving me love. I love her for that. Cool. So I'm sad that I wasn't included and I feel like I wasn't considered, and that hurt my feelings. But maybe she thought that she was showing me love by seeing things from my perspective of how I heal myself. So if I was doing something of that nature, trying to be compassionate and be respectful of how my friend's handling things, I wouldn't want them to be mad at me. And if they were mad at me for this, gosh, I would want them to forgive me, because I was just trying to be respectful and do right by them. Wow, you know what? I never thought of it like that. And in fact, That makes me love you even more, that you could even think of me in that regard. I appreciate you. Wow. And if you go back to the forgiveness exercise in the 8-state meditation, that's exactly what we're going to do here. So then this is when you get to that point of, and you might have to juggle, you might have to do a couple mental gymnastics to get to this point, but you will. When you find something you can agree on, then you get to, okay, you picture that person, you picture the scenario, close your eyes, and you take a deep breath, and you exhale, and you see that person in front of you, and you say to them, I forgive you, and I ask that you forgive me. You breathe in peace, and you breathe out the past. And then you see that other person, and you hear them say to you, I forgive you, and I ask that you forgive me. And again, you breathe in peace, and you breathe out the past. You may have to do this a couple of times. And again, this exercise might not be an instantaneous fix, but with practice, it will be. So I hope you found this helpful. The 4th step, because this is somebody whom you love and you don't want this to happen again, and you desire a more loving, more compassionate, more understanding relationship, is to come from this place of peace, to come from a place of calm, to come from a place of openness and curiosity. Because we don't respond well as humans when someone charges at us with anger, accusations. Why did you do this? And it hurt my feelings. And whoa, hello, good morning to you too. I haven't had my cup of coffee. Can this wait? Hold on. Hi, Susie. Thanks for being here. Hey, I hope you had a good Easter. None of this passive aggressive junk. Hey, hope you had a great Easter. Oh, me? Yeah, I didn't eat it. No, 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 no. I really hope you enjoyed your Easter. I just would like to tell you, when I found out that you ate without me, it really hurt my feelings. And here's my side. I didn't realize that you were about to have dinner, and had I would have cut my trip short, or I wouldn't have gone on it at all. Let's see what they have to say. Maybe they will say, and maybe whatever answer you settled on is exactly what their reasoning was. Maybe not. Maybe it was totally different. Maybe it was something better or worse, or maybe it was complete ambivalence. But it's having that curiosity, like, I'm just wondering why you didn't say anything. Like, hey, I really would have liked to enjoy dinner. And I had the understanding that that's, whether from in the past or whatnot, like, I would have really enjoyed having dinner with you yesterday. And it was my understanding that we were going to. And I was really sad to find out that dinner had happened and I wasn't included. I'm just curious why I didn't participate in that. And hear what they have to say. So curiosity is openness. And when you're coming from that place of peace, you don't already have to have forgiven them, but when you've worked on it and you're coming from that place, you have your energy is a lot higher and a lot more inviting than anger and put off, standoffish. And who knows, maybe their answer might totally surprise you. Often, if it's someone you truly love, typically the answer will tend to give you more compassion. And if it doesn't, if it's disappointing, and if it actually hurts, your feelings are valid, your pain is real, and you have every right to feel the way you feel. Step into your inner king. Step into your inner queen, not tyrant. Acknowledge their situation. And maybe you need time to think on how you're going to respond. Perfectly acceptable. Or maybe you say something along the lines of, well, I would have very much liked to be a part of this. It was my understanding. In the future, it would make me happy to have better communication, etc. Something along the lines, in the future, it would make me happy, fill in the blank. And see where it goes from there. It's a relationship, right? Everything's a give and take. And you just have to be mindful and see how that works. So anyway, I hope this has been helpful, guys. This is where one-on-one coaching gets real and gets very useful. Again, for cultivating forgiveness for those whom you love. And remember, this last step of having the communication, you don't have to have the conversation to actually have forgiveness. Forgiveness is something within. Forgiveness is how you get on with life. You don't have to reconcile to have forgiveness. So forgiving somebody that you love, acknowledge the situation, acknowledge your feelings, acknowledge everything that happened. Attempt to see things from their point of view. But maybe this, but maybe that. It doesn't have to be right. It doesn't have to be real. It doesn't have to be logical. It just has to be something that you could say, oh crap, if I were in their shoes, I wouldn't want them to be mad at me for this. When you can find something like that, settle on that, use that as the stand-in for why it happened. Close your eyes, envision the reciprocity of the forgiveness, breathing in peace, breathing out the past. It's really a 3-step process. That 4th step is to continue on the conversation, to cultivate the compassion, and continue on the loving relationship. As always, if you have any questions, guys, send me a message, DM. I'm here for you. And if you'd like to know more, if you would like to dig deeper into this particular exercise or anything else, a clarity call is just a message away, and we can schedule that. They're totally free. I am going to be back here at 11:05 Pacific Standard Time, 2:05 Eastern Standard Time for your midday mindset shift. It's been fun, guys. I appreciate you guys. Cough in your elbow, wash your hands, and stay home. Love y'all.